Hope everybody's doing well. This evening, welcome to We've Read the Documents Dudes Talking, episode 21. We're going to discuss the possible upcoming Civil War. We're going to discuss Donald Trump. We're going to discuss Alex Jones saying that Rex 84 camps are now a good thing, and we're going to stick all the liberals in and increase bipartisanship that is occurring in the United States. And how it is weaponized by both the Council on Foreign Relations and the Council for National Policy against us Americans. So tonight I have with us both Jimmy Jean from Into the Microcosm and the Epic Journeyman as well from Into the Microcosm. How are y'all doing this evening?
Doing good.
We may have lost Jimmy. Okay, so, Epic, I'll start with you. I'm going to read this tweet from Donald John Trump on September 29th, 2019. It was a retweet from Pastor Robert Jeffries. If the Democrats are successful in removing the president from office, which they will never be, it will cause a civil war-like fracture in this nation from which our country will never heal. Pastor Robert Jeffries at Fox News. So what do you think about that, Epic?
If people remember who Jeffries is, Robert Jeffries, he's the guy who would stage these at funerals, mind you, for the fallen from the Iraq War and Afghanistan. Both, they would come and they demonstrate, and excuse the language, I'm not exaggerating this, you support homosexuality and fags, you're going to hell, right? This is literally that guy. This is that guy, right? And for him to quote that guy either means he didn't know who he was, which is likely, right? Or that he really does know who he is, and because he is a white supremacist, and he is he's everything that you imagine a fascist American Nazi to be, basically, right? And he's totally deluded, no, unquestionably. If you listen to the guy, he has followers like anybody who's deluded seems to have these days. But there it is, right? And so, but I found what he said most troubling, because he's going to be impeached now. It's unquestionable now, in my opinion, anybody's opinion, really, if you're really following this. He has to be impeached. He's obviously incriminated himself so much, Donald Trump we're talking about here, of course, that he's going to be impeached. Now, whether it passes the Senate or not, it's irrelevant. It has to be done. It's just a constitutional duty. But there's only one way that Donald Trump can keep that from happening. Only one way, because there is a provision for, if in a case of martial law, that the Constitution is suspended. And this will save him from both the 25th Amendment, which is somebody be unfit and insane or whatever being removed on those grounds, and from impeachment, because it puts the power squarely in the executive, which is where he is. So it essentially, by doing a martial law move for some reason, and the only reason that this could work right now in America would be a civil war, it would give him the opportunity to actually stay in power. And I wouldn't put it beyond him. I think it's a dangerous time.
Epic, to clarify, do you mean Donald Trump's a white nationalist, or Pastor Robert Jeffries is a white nationalist? I'm just curious.
No, Pastor Robert Jeffries. He's just retweeting him. And that's why I'm saying when I said that he didn't know who he was, I'm saying Donald Trump didn't know who Robert Jeffries was. If he knew who he was, he wouldn't have. I don't think he would retweet that, but you never know.
I mean, Robert Jeffries does have ties to the Council for National Policy, and he was Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board as of June 2016, who, of course, includes former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, Kenneth and Gloria Copeland, James Dobson, Jerry Falwell Jr., and all of those, of course, have Ralph Reed. All of them have ties to the Council for National Policy. So, it doesn't surprise me that, that's Trump's brand of Christianity. Based off, I think you guys should go watch the Family documentary on Netflix and I will do a stream eventually on Trump's pastor mentor, Norman Vincent Peale, and his power of positive thinking, and Trump playing a clip from him when he was interviewed by the famous Republican pollster Frank Luntz, about his Christianity, and Trump mentions that he never asked for forgiveness, which is one of the biggest tenets of Christianity. So freaking ludicrous. But yeah, so it's I find Epic. I find that interesting that he would, Jeffries is in league with the CMP, a big part of the Southern Baptist part of this Baptist Church, and of course the Southern Baptists. The president was John Paul Pressler at one time, who was also the president of the CMP, and he's been implicated in the possible molestation of many underage teenage boys. So again, it all connects. It all comes back. I think Jimmy's on the line with us. How are you doing this evening, Jimmy?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Fantastic as well.
I know. This situation it seems to be getting more and more out of control. There's something wrong in America, John.
Oh God, Jimmy, really?
I think there's something wrong in America, Epic. Did you guys take a listen to? I mean, I know you did, Epic. And John, I haven't personally heard this. I'm going to be hearing it fresh and here for the first time. But it got a 5-star review, and Epic visited our friend over on Speculation Island, and he also gave the thumbs up. So here goes. Angry Trump rails against Biden on We Read the Documents with John Brisson.
About Biden, what do you want on Biden? Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say he gave 3 okay signs right at the beginning of that speech.
Okay, first of all, go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say he gave 3 okay signs. He said 3 words. He emphasized with the okay sign after they just made the okay sign racist. Go ahead.
They made it anti-Semitic. The ADL says it's anti-Semitic to say okay. It's an anti-Semitic symbol. And, yeah, you're right. I mean, I thought, okay, the way that Trump does it could also mean 666. But yeah, it's now a hate speech statement, and he made 3 of them. And also, Epic, to go back to Robert Jeffries for a minute, I think Jeffries, if I remember, he condemned Charlottesville and condemned white supremacy and said that's totally contradictory teaching to the teaching of God. He is very much anti-same-sex marriage, which technically I don't think it should be marriage. I think it should be a government-issued civil union. But yeah, he definitely doesn't seem to be white supremacist. At least you got some information that I haven't seen.
Well, no, I don't mean that he's. I should clarify that. That he actually is out there, like with a Nazi flag or anything like that. No, just some of his actions. He's definitely anti-gay and homosexual, whatever, to the extreme, though. I mean, to the extreme. And all his followers seem to be white, so that kind of bothers me a little bit.
Well, he's also against Mormonism, which technically I think Mormonism's a cult. But we're getting off track.
We are getting off track.
Go ahead, Jimmy. Let's continue.
And so do we. Go ahead, ask a question.
The question, sir, was what did you want President Zelensky to do about Vice President Biden and his son Hunter?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Listen, you ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up on the one that I asked you, which was,
Did you hear
what
me?
did you want
Did you hear me?
Yes,
ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
No, sir, I don't want to be rude. I just wanted you to have a chance to answer the question that I asked you.
I've answered everything. It's a whole hoax. And you know who's playing into the hoax? People like you. That we have in this country. And I say in many cases, the corrupt media, because you're corrupt. Much of the media in this country is not just fake, it's corrupt. And you have some very fine people, too. Great journalists, great reporters. But to a large extent, it's corrupt and it's fake. Ask the president of Finland a question, please.
Okay, I'll move on now. My second question to you, sir, is the WTO rule today in favor of the United States, saying that the United States can now impose tariffs on European goods because of illegal subsidies against Airbus.
That was a big win for the United States, right?
It was.
You never had wins with other presidents, did you? But we're having a lot of wins at the WTO
this was
since
a case
I became
that started, I think, 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
But
excuse me. Your wins are now because they think I don't like the WTO and they want to make sure I'm happy. because all of those countries were ripping off the United States for many years. They know that I'm wise to it. We've had a lot of wins. This was a $7 billion win. Not bad.
But I think...
Okay, hang on a second. So, also I noticed there's no gold fringe on that flag behind Trump. And I also noticed it looks like all the five-pointed stars are pointing up behind Trump. I also noticed that he told him to ask the president of Finland a question, and then he answered a question.
Well, after he does the taxi driver, you're talking to me, right?
I know, yeah. He looked just like him, too.
Yeah, well, it's hilarious. I mean, there's stuff before this, but yeah, he was off the rails this morning. Anybody who saw it, yeah, it's the end. It's spelling the end. But that guy laughing you heard, by the way, in the background, that was the Finnish prime minister.
Now, Jimmy,
We're
go
only
ahead.
a minute 58 seconds into this. This is 4 minutes of pure gold, John.
One thing I will say, Jimmy, a question I have you is since the gold fringe is now gone, which is one of the biggest things at the Q disciples of Q.
No, it doesn't have to do with Q. It has everything to do with Jordan Maxwell talking about it 25 years ago about how it's maritime law.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring it up. So why are we off of maritime law? Trust the plan? Is Trump saving the union?
Well, I don't know, but I just noticed that flag behind him appears not to have it on it.
It doesn't. That's one of Q's biggest things is they're saying the reason why Trump's our guy is because we're off of maritime law.
Well, that I don't know. I mean,
I think it's just like with everything with Q. Someone told Trump, "Hey, take down the gold fringe; it'll make you look good."
Either that or somebody this looks all put together. I mean, that curtain behind there, that's that gold color that they were wearing a lot when Obama was coming into office. That particular shade of gold.
Yeah.
A lot of people were wearing that tie, that color. And I think that's because that color signifies a specific something, which I'm not 100% on what exactly it is. But I was thinking it meant, that they had a plan, and that was the color of whatever that plan was. And whenever you saw those ties, those were people, ties. And, if you look back, you'll see a lot of people were wearing that color back around right at the beginning of Obama.
That is true, Jimmy. And also, the disciples of Q and the currency reevaluators mentioned that him and Melania have worn gold also since then as a sign that we're going back to the gold standard.
Well, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's a sign that they're part of the people that are going into the golden age. And just like we're going to talk a little bit later, the color of these ties, it's significant and it's almost like flying a flag in a lot of ways. People don't realize, man, there's ties that cost $25,000, man.
Yep, and also, Jimmy, they talk about the 5-pointed stars upwards. Are you talking about Star of David?
No, I'm talking about the 5 stars there, the 5-pointed star.
No, but are you making a reference to the Star of David?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I'm just curious if you're, Trump being a Zionist and all. I'm just curious if you're. I guess actually, Star of David. What I'm talking about, is a 6-pointed star.
That's
I don't know.
right.
I'm tired.
That's why I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a long day. I have no idea what I'm talking about. All right, go ahead.
Well, generally, esoteric circles, the star upright is representing man, and the star upside down is representing the mystical, the esoteric, right? So it's as above, so below, which is shown more in the Zionist Star of David, right? But the actual pentagram itself, the proper ones with the elongated lobe, which simulates represents how Venus travels across the sky over the course of a year. That's what it actually is. That's why it's that way. But the actual upward point, this is Jordan Maxwell, I'm quoting, I think that is actually, is the human, right? That's the head above, right? And when it's upside down, it's going the other direction. So it's going into the underworld, another world, basically. That's how I understand it. What he said and some other guys have said, I believe.
Well, I can tell you something that's kind of weird. Now, you guys, I have the video stopped precisely at 1 minute and 58 seconds. And so now what I see here is there's a Trump, and you see the American flag directly behind Trump, and then gold curtains behind that. And then what you see is it's bookended by two Finnish flags. And I want to point out that that particular way that this looks right in this shot, it looks like there's a Templar standing behind Trump. He's got a purple or bluish robe on with a white headpiece with the fitting over the top of his shoulders, and it's showing white. I don't know if you can see that, John. Epic, I don't think you can, because I think you're in VR.
No, I'm looking at VR actually. I can see the video. So yeah, you know what? That's a good observation. I didn't catch that because that's not a natural shadow. That shadow was made because the way that the flag hangs, they had to fold it a certain way. They spent a lot of time to make sure it folds the right way, right? Like those diagonal lines on the American flag are that way because they spent a lot of time fluffing the flag, getting it ready to make it just so, right? And so they did it this way on this. So it's both things. It's a Templar cross. It's the same colors as Israel. It's the same colors as Israeli flag.
Yeah.
Right. And it's got the Templar, which just ties back to Israel again.
Or
right?
or the Swiss as well. They're a power faction too, so it can be tied into that.
But that squared top helmet, you're right about that.
It does look like a Templar helmet. Yeah.
Okay, so look behind the Finnish dude now. And even that one, the flag is drooping, but you still see that squared shadow in the white area. You see that?
Yeah, I do. I see it too.
Yep.
So that proves what you're saying, Epic, that shadow's no accident.
Nope.
You have to fold it exactly right to get that.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the crossing, dissecting parts of the flag that the normal horizontal lines. But to make them line up exactly that way for the camera, I mean, that took some effort, man. That can't happen by accident. I mean, I guess it could. Anything's possible. But for both of them to do it, that seems pretty odd.
That's odd.
I also, since we're getting into some, esoterica around this, I just also want to point out for people who don't know or haven't recognized that this equilateral Maltese cross, you're looking down on a four-sided pyramid. And you see that cross. I mean, I was up in San Francisco at a Jewish museum because they were going to do some wireless work, and I was going to do some work inside. This is when I realized it, because I looked up around this Jewish museum, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, why is that Maltese cross up there? It doesn't make sense. And then I looked at it, I went, wait a minute, man, that's a four-sided pyramid, and you're looking down on it. And then I realized, that's why, because that makes perfect sense. Because there's a lot of what goes on, in the Hebrew fractions definitely came out of Egypt, and some of the sciences and some of the esoteric works that they do, and the magic that's prevalent in a lot of these deeper, darker aspects of the Hebrew religion or philosophy. But hey, you guys want to keep going with this Trumpski?
Let's do it.
All right, here he comes, man. Just check it out, man. His body language, he's about to lay a smack down.
So
the
question, sir, is if you're concerned that the president will impose those tariffs and the effect that may have on the economy.
Yes, first of all, when I referred to your democracy, I just wanted to tell that I'm impressed what American people have gained during these decades, hundreds of years, building up a very impressive democracy. So keep it going on. To WTO, I have a lot of respect to multilateralism and to international institutions. So WTO has given now a decision which is, quite tough with Europe. But I just say that the WTO has said its opinion, and that's that.
And I just want to finish by saying it's an honor to be with the president of Finland. He's done a fantastic job, very popular, beloved over in Finland. The WTO has been much better to us since I've been president because they understand they can't get away with what they've been getting away with for so many years, which is ripping off the United States. And please remember the president's last remarks, that we are a great democracy. The United States is a great democracy. And I'm airing what I'm airing because we are, in fact, a democracy. And if the press were straight and honest and forthright and tough, we would be a far greater nation. We would be a far greater when we don't have the CNNs of the world who are corrupt people. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yep.
There he goes, ladies. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. The president of the United States. You're fired, man. Give me a break. I mean, listen seriously, John. The president of the United States tweeted out, Schiff couldn't carry Pompeo's jockstrap. I mean, listen. No offense against what Trump stands for, the ideology and the Making America Great Again. I'm all for that. I'm not saying anything against that or anybody that's for that. What I am saying, though, is how far away from the movie Idiocracy are we at this point?
You mean Mountain Dew Camacho?
Right. Mountain Dew Camacho and Carl's Jr. Fuck you. Have some big ass fries, right? Yeah, no, I mean this is tame too. The earlier in the day at the beginning, they started in the White House in the Oval Office, I guess it was, or the Oval Office press room. But yeah, and it was 17 minutes. So he goes on this tirade for 17 minutes. I mean, not the whole 17 minutes, but a good chunk of it about. And the poor guy is sitting next to him, right? The Prime Minister of Finland. You can see it on his face. I just want to be the hell out of here, you know. And then when Trump slaps him on the knee, he looks at him like you can almost see it. He glares at him like, "Don't you effing touch me!" Right? And you have to, when you see it though. I mean, it is impressive. I mean, in the sense that you see that this guy is so obsessed with this. We're talking about Trump here that. It's all about him. It's not about the country. It never was about the country. We all kind of knew that he was a self-serving narcissist when he got elected. We just thought he'd grow into the office, some people thought, right? No, he's not. He's not. He's going to take America down with him. He is. And you see, I thought today was the beginning of the end. This is it for him because a lot of guys are leaving the sinking ship right now. And Pompeo has political ambitions beyond being Secretary of State. And I don't think he's going to go quietly into that dark night, man. He's going to probably fold, just like John Bolton did. And John Bolton's probably the most dangerous man in Trump's, ex-employer right now.
Hang on a second. Hang on.
Word.
Sorry about that, Johnny.
It's okay, Jimmy. I do want to say about Pompeo because, most people up there who trust the plan, they love Mike Pompeo. They love William Barr. They love all these people who I consider to be fucks. But yeah, remember Mike Pompeo was when he was senator. He was he was in the House of Representatives. I'm sorry, House of Representatives of Kansas. He was one of the biggest supporters of genetically modified, GM-produced crops in the United States. So yeah, Pompeo, who later became the CIA director, and then later, currently is now the Secretary of State. He is one of the best ever, in my opinion. And he is definitely in bed with the Council for National Policy. I mean, Tony Perkins, part of the CNP, said Pompeo planned to hire chaplains at the CIA. And the swamp loves Mike Pompeo, but yet all you Trumpkins out there trust the plan. You love Pompeo as well. And Pompeo, of course, graduated from Harvard. He's definitely not our guy, in my opinion, but they all love him.
West Point, too. Yeah.
Man, see, I don't follow Q. I never have. And I was out front on that. in the very beginning of the whole thing about what I thought about it. And so if that's the case, and I inadvertently say things that Q is saying or is saying now, it's only because I'm saying it based on what I know from the past. It's just, this shit has like been around for 30 years, man. Nobody's out there predicting nothing. I mean, come on, man. You know, it's like, yeah, the gold trim has definitely gone off those flags, okay? But I've noticed it gone before behind different presidents just because I noticed the gold fringe, because I was made aware of it. Just like if you buy a yellow Volkswagen, John,
Yes.
a yellow Volkswagen Bug,
Yes.
everywhere you go, you're going to see one. But
The
before that,
Dunning-Kruger effect, yes.
right? So, but it looks like what they got here is it's 1 minute and 38 seconds, but it looks like it may be 1 minute and 38 seconds of Trump's answers. You want to roll the dice on it? I already got rid of the commercial, so it's a minute.
If we can get rid of that, if we can just get him answering that morning session. I mean, I thought it was pivotal, man. I mean, I heard that and it's like, oh man.
Tell you what, Big Daddy Kane. Why don't you go suss that one up, and I'll let this 1 minute and 38 seconds play, because I tried finding it, but I don't see the one you're talking about, 13 minutes. Here we go.
That the whistleblower met with a staff member of Adam. There is a report that came out just before you and President Ninishita walked out here that the whistleblower met with a staff member of Adam Schiff prior
I love
to
that
the complaint
question.
being filed.
It shows that Schiff is a fraud.
And
I love that question. Thank you, John.
So can I finish asking it?
Yes, there's nothing to finish.
So the whistleblower, according to this report, met with a member of Adam Schiff's staff. You got it right there. You know it.
I hate to say it's the New York Times. I can't believe they wrote it.
Your response to the
Maybe
fact
they're
that-
getting better.
Your response to the fact that happened and that Schiff may have learned some of what the whistleblower knew prior to the complaint.
Well, I think
being
it's a
filed.
scandal that he knew before. I go a step further. I think he probably helped write it. Okay? That's what the word is. And I think it's, I give a lot of respect for the New York Times for putting it out. Just happened as I'm walking up here, they handed it to me. And I said to Mike, I said, whoa, that's something. That's big stuff. That's a big story. He knew long before, and he helped write it too. It's a scam. It's a scam. Just to finish on this, I appreciate it. I love that second question, by the way. Should have asked it first. But let me just tell you, the whole thing is a scam. The Mueller deal was a scam. The Russian collusion was a scam. You can ask Putin. Nobody's been rougher on Russia than Donald Trump. Okay? Now, with that being said, it would be great to get along with Russia. And we will get along with Russia because it's smart. But nobody's been tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
He missed the context completely too, because the guy didn't have a chance to tell him that wasn't the context at all, right? Yeah. So he just, and he says, well, word is, right? Word is. Well, there's no word. He's just making that up as he's going along, right? But yeah, there's a bunch of other comments he made there. But he's calling Schiff a traitor. He needs to be. We won't play the 17 minutes because Schiff's a traitor. He needs to be brought up on charges of treason. Anybody, basically, and this is what people are seizing from this, is like he's saying he's a king, right? He's saying that anybody who disagrees with me is a traitor. And they ask him that. Well, are you saying that anybody who disagrees with you is a traitor? And he goes and deflects about Biden and some other stuff. But yeah, no, he's unhinged, and it's showing. And I think this is the beginning of the end of the Trump era, and I think that's a good thing. And I'm not saying this because I'm a partisan. And in fact, we're going to get into this, I think, a little bit. The idea of the purple people in the middle, all of us people who are neither red or blue, right, who just have some common sense. I think that movement's going to grow. We're going to see this, and at some point you say, dude, take that little, remember the old vaudeville shows where they had the hook and they pulled the guy off the stage because he was embarrassed himself? This is it. We're at that moment, man. So I think it's going to be good if people seize on that. But I do think that there's a real chance for this to go really haywire,
All right, but can I raise a counterpoint to that?
Yeah, I mean, be careful on that color purple. You might want to stand back and hold your color for that. People.
Yeah, right. No, exactly.
Yeah, because there's this color purple that we noticed, or at least I've noticed, and I wanted to bring it up tonight in the show. and it actually ties into some. Go ahead, John.
I actually believe, Epic, that and this is something we're going to talk about when Jimmy plays the Rex 84 Alex Jones clip from about a year ago. That I actually disagree with you on this. I think one or two things are going to happen. One, Trump will be impeached by the House, but will not be convicted by the Senate, and will win re-election in 2020 by a very, very large margin by a divided country, or he could be impeached and convicted by impeached by House and convicted by the Senate, removed from office, and then there is a civil war because the United States is so divided right now. Even in the truth community, it's divided. Pedophilia, for example, it's either done by those leftists like Jeffrey Epstein and Adam Schiff and whoever else they want to say that's on the left, James Alefantis. And I'm not excusing any of them at all. I'm just saying that they will only look at the left if you're on the right, if you're a disciple of Q, and if you're a liberal, you only think that Donald Trump or who else, Judge Paul Pressler or anybody that you have that see in the conservative movement, that they're the ones who are practicing pedophilia or child trafficking, allegedly. But no, no one says. Very few people like me says, well, it's on the both sides. Look at the Franklin scandal for the conservatives and Epstein for the liberals. Even though Epstein did have some connections to conservatives as well. So it's very interesting. So that's how divided truthers are. You'll have the right MAGA or disciples of Q saying all the Republicans are great, every single one of them, except the ones that betray Trump, in quotation marks, and the Democrats are the ones that are swamped, and the liberals will say vice versa. So, left-right paradigm is the worst I've ever seen it in my entire life, which isn't very long compared to you guys. What do you have to say to that, Epic?
Well, I think that it's an exaggerated amount of people that are by this I mean, by exaggerated, the pollsters, the people who do these misleading polls, because they are misleading, a lot of them, right? They ask the question a certain way to try to pigeonhole people into this idea of they're either left or they're right. But I would say that honestly, the majority of people are neither left or right. Like, for example, I'm completely apolitical, and anytime you listen to me talk, you can hear that. I'll bash the liberals just as much as I'll bash the conservatives. Right now, I have bashed the conservatives a little more, not the conservatives actually, just because of Donald Trump, right? Because he's such a moron. I'm sorry, it really is. But the thing about it is that there's more people like that, because when you look at how ridiculous the far left is, it's about extremism on both sides. On the far left, you have these people worried about their 100 different genders or whatever, and transgender bathrooms, and issues that nobody even cares about. The using the proper pronoun, these social justice warriors that everybody hates. It's comical. It's comical to the point of making it look, to me, an outside observer, like a psyop in the first place. Like the whole thing's not even real, right? Where on the other side of it, you look at the diehard white separatists and the people who just want to hold on to the old standard that are being taken advantage of, right? And end up being cruel. This is irony. The people who call themselves Christians, and it's beyond irony, it's actually disgraceful. The people who call themselves Christians, here they are embracing Ayn Rand, like Paul Ryan did, embracing Ayn Rand. Did you read Ayn Rand? These people, they actually nobody read Ayn Rand.
Yeah,
they did. They wouldn't say that.
No,
right?
not at all. Ayn Rand was a sociopath in my opinion.
She was a meth head. She was on methamphetamines. Yes, she was like Hitler. Literally like Hitler.
And she idolized a serial killer. I think his name was like William Hickman. And she idolized him and based some of his characters off of that. Like she romanced William Edward Hickman. So yeah, he was a child killer. So it's just very interesting that Ayn Rand was a freaking sociopath, and libertarians love her, but they've never actually read her or never looked into her background or anything.
They couldn't have, because what she is she's a person who came from the former Soviet Union, right, and escaped at the time, after the Bolshevik Revolution. And and embraced capitalism. Supposedly, you think like, oh, this is great, America's great. Okay, that sounds good. But no, what she did is she elevated her social position, very much like Leo Strauss did, by telling the rulers what they wanted to hear, right? Telling the rich, the robber barons at that time, who were just, in a state of disarray because they were finally getting, some little comeuppance from the people that were under their grasp before that with, unions and things like that, breaking the, robber baron hold on the country at the time. So basically, she comes in and wants to be wealthy. If you imagine the woman with the long, cigarette extension thing, smoking this in the, like the 20s movement with the, the roaring 20s kind of, socialite. I mean, that's who she wanted herself to be, right? To fancy herself to be in the social circles. She was smart. No question about that. But she just told these people that were wealthy and were from American aristocracy what they wanted to hear. And if you read her books, that's all it's all about. She invents this subjectivism, and we have to do a show on this guy sometime about all the philosophies that came out of the 20th century, because there's so many, Straussian and existentialism and postmodernism and objectivism. And I'm not a philosopher, but man, you can't help but follow this trail, and it comes back to these people. And yeah, it all came in the 20th century. This isn't old ancient philosophy; it's modern philosophy, and it was started by a very few people. And Ayn Rand is one of the worst.
Very much so, and I want to get Jimmy's opinion on this, but real quick I want to butt in that a lot of people are unaware that Ayn Rand actually and her husband actually received Social Security benefits and Medicare in her old age, which she rallied against for years as a libertarian. So the irony is thick, you can cut it. So it's just, again, my libertarianism, my Ayn Rand. I doubt Paul Ryan's ever read Ayn Rand. I don't think many libertarians have ever read her work, even though they claim that they have. And, libertarianism is another trap, in my opinion, to get people, to vote for Ron Paul. Ron Paul is, of course, backed up by the Council for National Policy, and Ron Paul was a Freemason. Both him and Rand Paul both are. So, yeah, it's just, very interesting. What do you got to say, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it's gone off the rails, and it's to the point where, Trump does good things on some levels. I mean, he stands for good principles and everything, but I mean, everything's a surface level performance, it seems like. He was on the show for how many years? I mean, he knows how to work the camera. And then as soon as the lights go out and he goes walking off into the sunset or whatever, recently there was a rat that dropped out of the ceiling onto a reporter in the White House. Did you guys know about that?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Pestilence, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the White House is nothing but a set. It's like a movie facade. Okay, I seriously doubt any presidents or first ladies even sleep in that shithole. Seriously. But anyway,
it's only 250 years old or whatever. They rebuilt it after the fire, right? I don't know how old it really is. It's a couple hundred years. Pretty close.
That desk in that office, man, that's over in the presidential apartment, across the street or whatever. It's just a movie set, and he's just an actor reading a script to inflame. Now listen, so this is an abstract tie-in, but it is a tie-in to what we're talking about. Now, it's 2 years since the Vegas shooting happened. Okay? And the Vegas shooting was a turning point in the Trump presidency. Because you see a distinct change in Trump's method of practice subsequent to the Vegas shooting. Now, I don't know if this is one gang doing an operation on another gang, and that got one gang, the operation was so heinous and terrible that it got the second gang to go ahead and say, okay, I give up, that's enough, all right, I'll do whatever you want. And then right after that, you see Weinsteins. You see all these, not me too and all that.
Epstein goes down.
You see all this, right? It's just, and so, but here's the thing. Now, this is the whole reason I'm bringing this up, because not only was it a moment, because you could trace it back in Trump's presidency and how he was and where he got to up until a certain point. And I don't know if he's always been on the team. I don't know if he's, originally, if he was a Trojan horse. He was put out there to basically ridicule all the rest of that Republican, the 10 guys in the field, that he was just sent out there to just rip and tear on them, make them look like fools so Hillary could step up and win. But I think in the middle of all that, what happened was Trump actually struck a chord with America and started to believe his own hype. He started to believe that he could actually come in and clean the swamp and everything. He started to actually believe his own hype, man. And because he was believing his own hype, everybody believed in him, and they trusted him, and now he's in there. And guess what? He's got no support. He might as well be in there by himself. I mean, we might as well all be going around yelling that we want to make America great again all by ourselves out in the mountains somewhere. If you yell "Make America Great" and out in the mountains by yourself, does it make any noise, John?
No, but Jimmy, I tonight I'm not going to call you Black Pill Jimmy. Tonight I'm going to call you Jimmy Q Gene, because again, you just gave me a Q talking point.
Really?
That many people like Steve Outram say on Twitter that it's Trump versus the world. When Trump actually spoke.
Well, the thing is, it's contempt before investigation, John, because you didn't let me finish what I was saying.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I can see that you are sniffing out anything that sounds like Q and making sure that you're making a point about it. And I can understand that because that is an operation from front to back. But the Trump operation is the same operation as the Q operation. It's just another seductive character to win the emotional support of a people. So the country has been perpetually split down the middle for how long now? How many elections have been won by 51 to 48? The country has been split down the middle for a long time, and people are tired, man. People have been turning the other cheek. People have been saying, "No, okay, I'm not going to be the one, John. I'm not going to be violent. I'm not going to be the one who starts it. They got to be the ones to start it." And then, but people are getting sick and tired, man. People are getting tired of waiting for something to happen because nothing seems to be happening. Right, and so you have a flashpoint that's been created, right? Epic and John, there's a flashpoint, right? So you have this mounting pressure from the young people with Antifa and these different, all the stuff going on with people of color are pissed off. Everybody's pissed. Immigrants are pissed. Everybody's pissed off. They're all pissed off at what? White man Trump. So the white supremacist.
And all Trump's done is fan those flames, in my opinion, Jimmy.
Well, I mean, any more than two white people gathering in any place at any given time is a Ku Klux Klan meeting anymore, man. It's not. It's a matter of like. Listen, first of all, has anyone ever sat down and looked at the actual demographic breakout of America, the United States of America?
Like, what do you mean? Like, we're still above 60% white. Like, what do you mean? Like,
That's
age, sex?
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. So the thing is they're sitting here, people are sitting around pointing at a majority of a color that exists in a country and making everybody feel bad about being white, when everybody else in the whole country that's white, for the most part, is in the same severe pain that most of the people of color are in. Whatever problems people of color are in, most white people are feeling the same exact thing. So we have a flashpoint, man, because people are tired on both sides. People are ready to fight, man. I mean, you step in front of somebody too fast down at the post office, you might just get a package on the side of your head because people are so pissed off. And so now with this Trump impeachment thing coming up, potential for, my opinion, the whole Trump Trump came out wearing a purple tie after that event, after the Las Vegas event. Trump came out wearing a purple tie. What color was Hillary Clinton wearing when she gave her goodbye speech?
Purple.
She's wearing purple. Yeah, she was wearing purple. Now she just came back again last week. She's wearing purple again. Okay, there's going to be a purple revolution. The impeachment is strictly and mostly to get rid of Joe Biden as a candidate, because in the investigation of the Trump situation, what's going to come to light is Biden. Biden's going to go bye-bye. Now, I've heard there's been actual talks between Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton, as Elizabeth Warren is a vice presidential running mate. I don't know what's going to happen, you guys, but I tell you this, the potential for something to disrupt those elections with this Rex 84 information that we're about to get into, that Alex Jones was talking about so far back, a year ago, telling us how good it was. Let me go dig that out there, John. I had to close a bunch of windows. When you guys first came on, I had a window, I couldn't find it, and it was open, and I couldn't close. I couldn't stop making noise.
Let me riff a minute, Jimmy. Then,
I got it for you, but go ahead anytime.
So remember Donald Trump. So I think that the Council for National Policy possibly may have some people within the CNP originally wanted Ted Cruz to be the candidate. I mean, that they were even talked about in that one document where the Democrats wanted Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, and I think Benjamin Carson was their choices. And either that or they've always wanted Trump, because Trump, like all the other presidential candidates, including Rand Paul, actually played Rand Paul's speech to the Council for National Policy and broke it down in a previous episode of how Ron Paul and Rand Paul are not our guys. So the thing is Trump spoke to the Council for National Policy in 2016, just like George W. Bush spoke to the Council for National Policy in 1999. George H.W. Bush had representatives who spoke on his behalf to the Council for National Policy in 1989, and Reagan spoke to the CNP many times during his presidency. So all the Republican candidates have to bend the knee to the Council for National Policy, where the left candidates have to bend the knee to the Council of Foreign Relations, like Tulsi Gabbard, who was a member of the CFR for 5 years, who now actually supports Trump's impeachment, and MAGA hats have turned against her because of that. And Obama, CFR as well. And so that's what you get in the comments. So I think Trump's always been popular.
Here's
Trump.
Here's the thing. The controllers control both sides of the stable.
Yes.
So whichever one of their race ponies makes it to the finish line in the end, they don't care, because they're still going to move forward with whatever they move forward with.
Yes.
They're just using a different mouthpiece to read the script.
Yes.
Is basically what that boils down to. Look, Trump is the white man's Obama.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, Obama, hope and change, hey, I mean, that doesn't mean anything to anybody except for the person who hears it, because they create an image of what they hope for and the change that they want to have. And they imagine that's what he's talking about. And it's the same thing with Trump, except for we don't know what they actually mean when they say what they say. I know this. When Obama's speaking backwards, he says, "Thank you, say."
Thank you, say. Yes, he does. Yes, I've heard it. Reverse speech. I've heard him say it.
It's almost as clear as Charlie Manson.
That's true. It is almost as clear, but the pantomime's not as good, I don't think.
So
No.
So did you guys hear? And I want to get Epic's opinion. Did you guys hear that old Bernard Sanders had to go? He had to go in emergency cardiovascular surgery.
Yeah, he's out, man.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
Bernie's out.
I was going to comment on this. This is where I was saving up my commentary for. Is that along with Trump being finished as of today, I think he is. In my opinion, he's finished. And his only play is martial law. The only way you get martial law is civil war. I think that's true, right? So barring civil war, he's out, man. He's out. It's over. The writing's on the wall. It's done, sealed. It's a done deal, in my opinion. But along with that, all of a sudden, Biden and Bernie Sanders are out of the race. That's it. They're out. I noticed that today too. Today was the day they were both out of the race. Bernie Sanders went in for that heart. This wasn't really. They tried to minimize it, like it wasn't really open heart surgery. It was just some stents being put in. It was two stents,
but it was still major for his age. I mean, I know about health, and it's a problem.
Yes, and his age was already an issue. People are trying to overlook it, because a lot of people want him there. I mean, Trump wouldn't have gotten elected without Bernie Sanders. All those Bernie Sanders disgruntled voters because Hillary ripped them off in the Democratic convention. She won.
That's if the CMP through Kenneth Blackwell didn't rig the votes like they did for allegedly Kenneth Blackwell rigged Ohio for Bush over Kerry, because Kerry would have won if Bush didn't win Ohio.
Well, they proved that was the machines.
Kerry rolled over though. Kerry rolled over on that one.
He did.
He could have fought that same thing like Ron Paul rolled over in that exact same kind of moment.
Because they do what they're supposed to do, because both sides are united at the top, Jimmy, like you said.
Right. So just like Epic's saying, I think he's right. I don't know if Trump's going to be out, but here's what I do think. I think that Trump has given up enough ammunition going into an election for PACs to make commercials to make that guy look like an idiot. And all it's going to take is Hillary to jump back into this thing. You will see a mobilization. You will see the liberals base fire up like never be seen before. And this time they're going to have a bunch of millennials with them with phones and stuff. And
God forbid.
And they're all going to be texting each other, and they're all going to be getting a big get the vote out campaign, everybody 18 and over, to get out there. And so Hillary is going to make sure she's already out there saying that the real witch hunt is her handling of documents and this stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, it's going to happen. You're going to see it's going to be like the rumble in the jungle when Frazier
throw into Manila.
Exactly. There's a dark horse here, that nobody's talking about, and it's because nobody's proposed it really yet. But you can kind of see it happening, and because nobody expected Trump to win, right? Of course, right? I mean, the Democrats wanted him to run. Like that was the fly in the ointment that would just totally ruin the Republican Party, right? They thought it was great that he was running. And it backfired in that case, or did it?
I expected Trump. I expected Trump to win. You can ask my group, my whole posse. I was saying that way early too. I was saying it.
Yeah, so did Michael Moore. Michael Moore predicted it publicly early. Yeah, that he was going to win. And I think that it's because people wanted a political outsider, right? Because people are fed up with politics. That's why I'm not sure the Hillary Clinton thing will work. I mean, because I think people are tired of that. I mean, I hope so. Anyway, I think the purple wave might be good. We're going to talk about color purple a little more later. But but the dark horse here is people that nobody's talking about. And it's if there's somebody that ran last election cycle who's setting up for 2024. He's setting up for 2024, but he might jump in. And there's somebody who might run with him either as the lead, as the presidential candidate in a separate, break from the party kind of thing, or as the vice president on that ticket. And that person who's the fly in the ointment for everybody is Zoltan Istvan, who was a transhumanist candidate last election cycle, who got quite a bit of votes, actually. He got a couple of percentage points for a guy that nobody ever heard of. And here is this, he's advocates for transhumanism big time. And so now you're targeting him.
I've heard that guy speak a couple times, man.
He's a smart guy. I talked to him on Twitter. No, I don't talk to him a lot, but I mean, we're in the same Twitter feeds a lot. He's always on TruthStream and stuff like that, and he's always haunting there and other places I'm at. So we've had some exchanges or likes and dislikes or whatever. No dislikes. I never at either side, I don't think. But point is, he's around all the time in those forums on Twitter and stuff. But because he pays attention. But the marriage made in heaven is him and Andrew Yang. If Andrew Yang and him break off, right? All of a sudden, this is very appealing to millennials and the people of the Generation Z that we're growing up with now that grew up with nothing. They know they have nothing. They know they have no jobs. They have no future. And that's a fact. It sounds terrible. I mean, it sounds so defeatist. But unless we change something dramatically right away, that is the way things are going to roll. So, So now all of a sudden you have these people telling you, well, you're going to live forever, and you can do these things, and we can all share our wealth and have your basic universal basic income, and you can choose the things because artificial intelligence could be so great, right? The basic artificial intelligence will run the world. There won't be politicians anymore. Isn't that the right way to go? And so basically, these people coming out as that out of the dark. I hope they're not listening to the show. They might be. You never know. Zoltan might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it happening. I could totally see that happening. They're setting up for 2024, but I think that with what's happening now, with Trump going off the rails completely, and nobody wants Hillary, right? That actually is a viable option for a lot of people. They might look at that as like the savior of, hey, let's kick all these people out and go this way.
I don't think so, Epic.
I hope not.
If you were right, I'll eat a hat. That's too much for me, man. I have been claiming Hillary was coming back. I have been claiming Thrilla in Manila. It will be Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton Part 2. His base will be energized as heck, and Hillary Clinton will lose in a landslide to Trump, who has completely been. I mean, he's part of CNP pop from the very beginning, and will usher in. There's two things. Either Trump will be impeached and indicted, and the FEMA camps will happen, martial law will happen, or he won't. He'll win versus Hillary, and a Iranian war will happen. One or the other, in my opinion.
You gotta have there's always a 3 scenario. There's always the green, the 00 in there, man. And I'm telling you, if Trump goes against Hillary, he will not win. Especially if she picks either Elizabeth. Now, I'm just saying, there's rumors she's talked to Elizabeth Warren, but I think Hillary would go and pick Buttigieg, that gay dude.
Well-spoken guy, yeah. He's the best spoken of all of them, actually.
Media savvy, big time, man.
What about Joe Kennedy III?
Well, I don't know about that.
I've never heard him speak, though. I've read his writings, but I've never heard him speak in front of a crowd yet.
He spoke one time about Trump as a counterpoint to him a couple of years ago, and I'm saying they could trot out, the Democrats could trot out Joe Kennedy III, not 2020, but maybe 2024. And the Q-tards would go for it because of saying that that John Kennedy Jr. is still alive, and they could turn that play.
That is not very many people though, because see, that whole thing is not. I mean, it's not a matter of reality. Okay, what we're talking about right now is we're talking about stuff outside of the reality of what's really going on. Everybody else is immersed in this shit like it's real.
Right. Go ahead,
70% of the population that we come in contact with on a daily basis is not out here trying to sniff out what's going on. They're trying to sniff out how to make their car payment because they made a mistake.
Yeah, but they love the Kennedys, though. They love the Kennedys.
Okay, they love the Kennedys, man, but still, the Kennedys, the next best thing is going to be Hillary Clinton and Buttigieg, because we only got a little bit of time for the election, so that guy's not going to be getting in this election. But Buttigieg is already in there, and Hillary Clinton's about to step on the podium. I'm telling you right now, I would be surprised. John, you've been correct. I know I've been right. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see it before the 15th of October.
I'm 100% right about that. I do agree with you about Hillary Clinton, too. It's coming. It's in the tea leaves. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. I've been calling it. You've been calling it, Jimmy. Oh, it is coming. But there's way more young people than there is bitter clingers, and that's just the fact of the matter. So everybody who's a liberal, our age and below, and then there's a whole bunch of young up and comers that lean liberal just based on the education they get. Right, Epic?
That's right, and this is why it may not be Istvan, Zoltan Istvan and Yang, although I could see that being a dream ticket. I really could, but something like that could emerge because what I see happening is all the young people, the 70% of the people who don't vote, basically. I mean, that's sad that we live in a democracy where 70% of people basically don't really vote, right? But to mobilize those people, and it's always people that, they mobilize them for certain elections, like the 2018 election, they mobilized them a little bit more. That's why the Democrats retook the House, right? But I think that what's going to happen is the scenario you guys are talking about is the dream scenario they want. That is the Don King presents, super, throw in Manila kind of setup, right? That's what they want to do. But I think that the fly in the ointment is that the youngsters aren't going to go for those people. And the people who's been presenting or representing those people the most in recent history, it's Apple, right? It's Apple, it's Silicon Valley, it's all these things. And what are they talking about? This is where we talk about the true civilization, the breakaway civilization, are these people, right? And they have the technology. They knew all about Cambridge Analytica before anybody else did when they affected the election. They knew about the troll bots. They watched them happen, right? They know all about it. And so here they are in a position where I think they're shooting for 2024. I really do. But now all of a sudden you have this vacuum where with Sanders out and Biden out, and I think they're going to be, right, and Trump out, well, this is an opportunity, and they might be able to take it.
I don't know if Trump's out, though. I disagree with you on that. It could happen. I 50-50 at this point.
I'll bet you $1. I think
okay, I'll take that bet.
No, my topper on that is that's if he actually leaves, because he's going to find an excuse to declare martial law, I think. Because if he goes out of office, he'll be prosecuted. And the only way to not be prosecuted is to stay in office. So he could do everything he can to stay in office.
I will say that I have said Hillary Clinton. I've said it's going to be. I said it's been Hillary Clinton since Trump, since as long as I can remember. I do disagree with Jimmy, however. I think Hillary Clinton will lose, and Trump will win, and then we'll go into war with Iran if that happens. But that's my opinion.
I think we'll be at war well before the election, John. I think war is going to be part of Hillary's.
Trump can't win. Trump can't win if we go to war before the election.
Well, Trump can only win if he goes to war, unfortunately, because if he goes to war, the stock market will go up. Gas prices will go up. At that point,
he'll betray half his base if he does that.
Yeah, well, he's got. Why do you think he's doing what he's doing? I mean, like I was saying earlier, I mean, he is clearly. I mean, this information that's coming out, however it came about, if somebody on the backside brought this, like Hillary's operators. Brought out this whole impeachment thing around this Ukrainian situation simply because they know point blank that Biden's fucking up to his ass in Ukraine. So they like dole it out, man. They just dish out a big chunk of something for somebody to use for their own benefit in their own career. And here they come, taking it out there. They do just exactly how these operations are designed. We all do the same thing. If somebody puts some information out there, we grab the information and we bring it back and we chew on it and we look at it and then we go and tell somebody else about it. And that's the same thing that they do. And then to just run that game. So listen, there's people in the chat saying, no way. Here, I'm not trying to turn you around. Listen, I don't want her to run. I'm not saying I want her. I'm not saying I don't want, Trump to be president. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying, though, is when somebody's backed into a corner, they're going to do things and act in ways that they don't normally act. Now, he's being put under stress, man. Look at him look at his body language on these videos, man. Look at him. He looks... he's playing he doesn't look like he's acting. He looks like he really is emotionally upset about what's going on because he's an egotist. He's got a giant ego and he desperately wants everyone to love him because he's such a great president, but yet half the country hates him. So all he does is sit there and fight against all the people that hate him, trying to win him over with all his works. But his works are nullified, okay, by the hate. He can't overcome that hate. He'll never overcome it. And so that hate is what's behind the impeachment. and esoterically, from a magical perspective, that hate is also the energy that's used in the intent for the outcome. And so they use that intent and that hate, and they bring it in through the impeachment trial. So whether he's going to stand or not, I don't know. Does somebody want a Pence? I mean,
no. Pence is more of a CMP.
Is it more possible? Is it possible at this point that they could actually hammer people to the point where the Senate starts to change their mind? Like, how many people in the Senate would have to change their mind to get Trump thrown out?
20 something, yeah. Yeah, it needs 67 votes.
I will say...
You think they got 27 pieces of video from Epstein Island that they could call to throw it on the table?
No, but it was said that the guys have come forward and said that if it was a private vote, that you get 35 people vote for his impeachment.
I do agree, Jimmy, that they could blackmail anybody. I mean, that's even we know the elections are all rigged by the world order anyway. You know, we're arguing semantics, and they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway. It's kind of a guessing game at this point. But I do think martial law, and I do like FEMA camps are you know, something that will happen eventually, even though people have been pimping it since FEMA coffins and everything for how many years now? It's almost like storable food. Get your storable food, get your guns, get your gold. But go ahead, Jimmy. Start playing the Alex Jones where
I just want to, before we go there, I just want to say, I was living in Los Angeles when the Rodney King beatings happened and all the trial and everything. And when the riots happened, man, it was martial law. And I lived in Venice Beach, and there was American soldiers on the beach, on the boardwalk, in Jeeps, standing there with M16s. Okay, there was a curfew that you could not go out after dark or you would be shot, is what they said. So just to, you know, I mean, it's no joke. I mean, you know, people, you know, I've literally, before we get in this clip, I just want to bring this up. I've literally heard people in the alternative independent media that are conservative calling for martial law so that they can somehow benefit from it. But what they fail to realize is the people that are going to be in charge of martial law ain't going to give a shit whether or not you like Trump or you don't. You're just another piece of meat moving around in the perimeter that got shot by accident.
Well, to all of them, Jimmy, to the disciples of Q out there who are claiming for military tribunals and martial law, they've forgotten that you know, it'll also be them too as well. Like you said, the world order will eliminate them too, and we'll see this in this clip that Alex Jones talked about the day. I mean, Alex Jones has sold his soul to God's for National Policy and Satan, whoever you want to say, long before this clip. But in my opinion, in June 26, 2018, which I think was the day that the show had happened, was the day that Alex Jones completely turned his back on any truth that he'd ever had in his heart, anywhere he ever standed on the truth movement, and became a traitor to the truth movement on this date, Jimmy.
Well, man, it's literally unbelievable, John. Here, let's just hit it right now. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yep.
It's Monday, the 25th day of June, 2018. I don't claim to have all the answers here tonight, but I do want you to know, and I do want you to understand that I want freedom in America, and I want freedom worldwide. Now, I came back in this evening, even though I was having dinner with my children a couple hours ago, and got some crew in here to do this emergency broadcast, because I have been really nervous and upset about all the information I've been seeing, and I've been studying it and knowing that what was really happening was hiding in plain view, but I wasn't computing it. Well, now I have have the total breakdown of what's really going on. It all clicked about 2 hours ago. And I'm going to go over the news articles, all of it for you right now. Now, I could easily get caught in the minutia of every point. Like, they're showing kids that were kept with their parents and saying they weren't. And they're showing other, fake videos. And mainstream media is calling for civil war. And the Democrats are calling for killing Republicans and shooting them inside restaurants. And we've covered that. But then I was sitting there tonight doing research at dinner with my family. And I thought, wait a minute, it's Rex 84. But we always thought, because the liberal media told us, those of us that were informed, so it was only something intelligentsia were involved in, that there was a governmental plan in the 80s. If the Democrats tried to collapse the southern border and bring in a bunch of communist insurgents, a real Red Dawn scenario, that then they would try to bring in families to pull on the heartstrings of Americans. If Latin America collapsed, their population was half of what it was then, 30 years ago, and that they would use Rex 84 to house them and ship them back. And then it hit me. Trump has announced the military bases are going to hold these people because the influx of migrants is already up 300+% since he got in. And it's going to be 1,000% when they're done. The UN runs it, all of it. Latin America's collapsing. So they're ramping up all these people saying, if you stop any of them, you're a terrorist. And it's all an admitted plan that we knew the Democrats and the communists and the globalists were planning in the 80s. And so President Reagan at the time developed Operation Rex 84.
All right, Jimmy, stop this for a minute. Stop
and
this.
so I'm like,
Stop it.
look at this horrible plan for emergency.
That is the most biggest load of horse crap I've ever heard in my entire freaking life. He has the balls to say that liberals are claiming for martial law, which the Republicans are also as well. Both sides are, and their own factions are, okay? And he's got the balls to say that Rex 84, no, it wasn't about Oliver North and Iran-Contra and gun running and drug running and kid running and Benito Blandón and Nicaragua and none of that. It wasn't any of that. No. It wasn't that they were camps put up to put dissidents in, American dissidents in, because they learned their lesson about the hippies, for the destabilization of Latin America and the Latin America war that was going to occur.
He played clips of people saying that they were going to re-educate people and throw them in them camps. So now he's trying to say it's an immigration camp because he was the one that brought out the video. It was Aaron Dykes and him that got the video of the little kid in the playground swinging on the swings or whatever while they were looking through the barbed wire fence. You know, I mean, he's whipped the fans of flame over Rex 84 for years, man. He hasn't done it recently, but I mean, I'm just saying, back in the day when he was first, rolling it out. I mean, let me ask you a question. He runs a pretty good operation over there, doesn't he, John?
No, I mean, yeah.
I'm just saying, from a business standpoint, he's a professional.
Of course, he gets CMP money bombs and sells supplements and ads and stuff. Yes, of course.
Exactly. So he's got a multi-level marketing scheme going with selling those vitamins that's probably made him a millionaire. But even be up and beyond that, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So since he does run such a professional organization, one would assume that, when he's hiring people to come work there, he would expect some sort of a resume and an interview, wouldn't you, John?
Of course. I mean, you got to vet the people that are going to work for you, Jimmy. I mean, that's common business practices.
All right. Well, so if you're somebody that's coming in as an applicant to the Alex Jones InfoWars operation, you're coming in there. You're coming in all cock strong. You got yourself a resume, female or male. You can still come in cock strong. You come in, throw down your resume. I mean, you're going to put all the things that you really want your employer to know on your resume. When you say, John, you want to sell yourself, I mean,
of course. To the fullest extent.
So like when the person who came in or the couple of people that came in and applied for jobs They used to work at Palantir. Do you think he should have hired those people?
Now, Jimmy, are you talking about the people that the Council for National Policy push, like Jerome Corsi, the Zionist, or Roger Stone? How dirty's Roger Stone? But he worked for InfoWars.
I mean, he's got a tattoo of Nixon on the small.
No, Roger Stone's a good man.
Roger Stone throws sex parties, like, wife swapping parties. What I hear, man. No joke.
His wife got caught denied it in the 1990s. But yeah, he was putting ads in the newspaper for cuckolding. But yeah, I mean,
all I know about all that, dude, is this: he was around Nixon. He was around the original fake news around Nixon when Nixon called it out as fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's getting impeached just like Nixon. Who, everybody, that's another one that maybe we should talk about right now. It's just another dark horse idea because, that we are on Speculation Island tonight. Maybe there's a third way. Maybe Trump resigns.
And puts the Jesuit. He's not really a Jesuit, right? But in charge, right?
And Pence becomes
the
forward.
CMP wet dream, and then Pence. Oh, so he's gonna pull a Nixon because Trump is Nixon, Jimmy.
Right.
Yeah.
Pence pardons
the purple
him for the
ties
good.
come back. Yeah.
Pence pardons him for the good of the country.
There you go. Because Pence is a shiny, clean, Christian conservative. I mean, I could see that guy in a black SS uniform myself. I mean, he fits the.
Jimmy.
Now, Speculation Island. You know what I imagine him as? Do you remember the movie Angels and Demons? I think it was. The follow up to was actually the novel predates
the movie.
The movie, right? But where it's the guy who's whipping himself. It's a particular sect. They're like a sub-Jesuit sect, right? Where they have this whip and they whip themselves to chastise themselves and stay chaste all the time. Yeah, I totally picture him doing that.
Yeah,
There's something weird about that.
Yeah, of course, Pence, repentance. Very much so. And of course, that book was the books Angels and Demons, stuff like the Da Vinci Code, was written by Dan Brown. Dan Brown's a known Masonry. He venerates Masonry in his books, and slanders Christianity. But I could definitely see Pence doing that, and Pence is very much him. He is the Council for National Policy's man. And remember, Jimmy, to bolster your claim, to bolster what you think may happen, and I'll give a second to that. Alex Jones said a long time ago that Trump will get everything he needs to get done, whatever that means. Does it mean for the CMP or whatever? His first term, and he's going to resign, and Mike Pence will be president and Nikki Haley will be vice president. And I've heard rumbling on Twitter of people saying that Nikki Haley would make a good vice presidential candidate. That leads credence to what you're saying, man.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things on the wheel, man. The wheel of fortune is spinning, and where it's going to stop, nobody knows.
The wheel of misfortune.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you right now that the lady in purple is gonna rear her head, and she's gonna try to get it, man.
Yeah, and she's got that plastic surgery.
You know what's really funny? I mean, I'm not saying this is true, okay, but I'm just bringing it up just to kind of lighten it up a little bit for a second. Because I saw a picture of somebody that took a video of Hillary with an infrared camera, and everybody around her was red, but she was blue, and they were trying to say it's because she was an android or a robot.
Organic robotoid.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Organic robotoid.
Yeah, it's just interesting. It's an interesting concept only because taking pictures with those infrared cameras would provide us with the ability to detect any undercover androids that might be floating around.
Like they live
in this Blade Runner society that we're coming into. All right, so what do you want to do? You want to go down this road?
Finish the clip a little bit, Jimmy.
All right, yeah, that's what I mean. I think I might have closed it. I might have got rid of it. Hold on.
All right, we left off at
emergency centers at military bases to put Americans in FEMA camps. And I bought the whole leftist thing in college, everywhere. They taught this about the camps, the plan for camps. But the plan in the actual document that Congress released was just taking care of families and then shipping them back from where they came from if they weren't political refugees.
Oh, my God.
And so here I am 23 years later, thinking I was a conservative, thinking I knew what was going on, but buying the leftist propaganda camps and Clinton,
I'm totally laughing.
Conservatives and libertarians and Christians, they want a civil war. They want to bring in the massive illegals, trigger the civil war, have a total societal breakdown, and then use the Rex 84 plan that Reagan set up via FEMA to control everybody. That's been in the news. So that's why this is so sophisticated. And that's why this is so incredibly dangerous, is that you have all these left-wing sites saying, we're going to shoot. We played the video in an earlier report. We're going to shoot Republicans when they're at restaurants. We're not just going to boo them out of there. And you've got Brennan and all these deep state people like Clapper and the rest of them saying this is all happening.
Laugh track.
So back looking at the calls for civil war and looking at USA Today and the New York Times admitting we're in a civil war, when I saw the globalists setting it up, saying I was a kook to cover it, now they suddenly admit it in late June 2018 as they brand all Trump supporters are Nazis and deserve to die. Donnie Deutsch, Maxine Waters. And
as much as I dislike Maxine Waters, I don't think she said that.
Battle plan. I was so frustrated today during the
She didn't.
Show that I host 11-3. And then I watched tonight this Mike Adams video, the health ranger, where he's on fire. It's 40 minutes long. I'm about to air it. You've got to watch this. And I went, oh my God. He didn't even say it, but it was like, it's Rex 84. They told Reagan that the big banks, the Ford Foundation that runs it, this has all been declassified, were planning to brainwash Latin Americans.
Oh my God, that's not true.
The weathermen are on video and congressional testimony. They had this whole plan for a Red Dawn scenario. And I've even talked to...
Oh my God, man.
Okay, now I've read this paper, the Miami Herald, Reagan AIDS and the Secret Government. It literally discusses everything that Alex Jones just said, but the exact opposite. Everything that we know to be true. Rex 84, Oliver North, Iran-Contra. Oh my God, this makes me so mad.
I just read it today.
Piss-ripping mad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. You know what? And there was mind control experiments with Latin America going on. They were at Jonestown, right? They were Grenada. And that was George H.W. Bush, right? H.W., that was his CIA, man, that was doing that. And yeah, there was a plan to do this kind of stuff. And if you want to talk about a deep state, that's where that deep state is in those realms. Not the CIA that's patriotic Americans that try to fight, corruption around the world and keep America in a good position, and sacrifice their lives to do it. No, we're talking about people who want to control these. This is the Alan Dulles extension of looking to control a population. Yeah, but you know what? It had nothing to do with what he's talking about. He's talking about exactly the opposite of what it really was. And he knew better because he said it the right way the first time he said it.
Wasn't the hospital where a bunch of people went from Jonestown in Grenada?
Yeah, that's exactly where they landed. And the only people who died were in that hospital, basically. Yeah.
That's right, John.
Hold on. Okay, so the paper... he talks about, when he shows the Reagan AIDS and the Secret Government, okay? It was initially an AP story called Report, North Reagan Raids, Aid Foreign Phantom Government. From Miami AP, some of the President Reagan's top advisors operated a parallel government that, among other things, had been linked to the theft of briefing materials from Jimmy Carter's 1988 presidential campaign, the Miami Herald reported in Sunday's edition. Actually, so Miami Herald did originally report this. The group operated for traditional cabinet departments and agencies most from the day Reagan took office, with the National Security Council coordinating its activities, congressional investigators and administration officials told Miami Herald. The influence of fired National Security Council aide Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North was so great that he was able to have the orbits of surveillance satellites altered to follow Soviet ships around the world and called for the launching of high-flying spy aircraft on secret missions over Cuba and Nicaragua. The Herald quoted one identified source saying, So all this is about Iran-Contra affair and Ronald Reagan and Oliver North and everything. And so Jones puts up this paper and makes it seem like this paper is, talking the reverse. It's so newspeak bullcrap, 1984 bullcrap that Jones is pulling.
Man, I mean, listen. How many years did you listen to Alex Jones' show?
Since 2008.
Okay, so then, but you haven't listened since, or you don't listen anymore?
I still listen on occasion when he says something to bring me to my attention. Yes.
All right. Well, so I used to be a listener. I listened every day for about 2.5 years. But I don't listen anymore, and I don't listen at all. So, I mean, it's important to, think about that word listen in relation to some of the stuff that goes on, because who you listen to really, really makes a difference. You know what I mean? It's like 10 people could give you advice, but you'll only listen to one of those 10. For whatever reason, that person has the ability to influence you for whatever reason. And so the best idea is to come up with a sexy character or subject matter that's seductive enough to draw in massive amount of attention, right? And so that's exactly what Alex Jones is, with his bombasticness and his behaviors over the years. He's gotten a lot of people to trust him because a lot of what he said is true. And now he can. And listen, it's not just Alex Jones though. Let's just be fair. Okay, seriously, let's be fair. How many things have we all thought were a certain way, and then as we found out this other linchpin piece of information we didn't know before, and it changes everything because now you found something else. So now what he's trying to tell us is that, he was, when he was telling us before that this was bad and this was for American citizens, that he was only really just brainwashed by the liberal media. The information that he had wasn't right. He was fake, and he was brainwashed. I don't know, man. That's just, I mean, he's a good actor. It's a good stretch of the imagination, but I'm just not buying it, man. This is not good for anybody. Martial law in America is not good. But you know what? Listen. If something happens, I see information tonight that something's going on in Iraq right now, that the internet's all shut down and there's a bunch of stuff going on. I don't know. Some people, Epic, you might know more than me what's going on over there, but I hear something big's happening in Iraq tonight. So I don't know when it's going to happen. The October surprise always surprises, and it always happens, doesn't it? So it's coming.
I think that October surprise is this one. The three main candidates are out of the race. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing. I'm on speculation on it, but I think reading the tea leaves here, I think it's true. There's not going to be a Biden. There's not going to be a Bernie Sanders. There's not going to be a Trump. So this vacuum that's the October surprise, right? Somebody's going to come out of that. That's going to come out of nowhere, out of left field, to take the lead on this. And that might be the October surprise. I was just looking up some stuff about the deep state, because the guy who, really goes back, when you talk about that, what people have this whole misguided notion what the deep state is. Like they think it's like these just lifetime bureaucrats. No, that's not what it is. It goes back to, really in America, it goes back to when Eisenhower gave his farewell address. He's talking about the industrial complex, to look out for that because they were taking over, right? Which he knew his intelligence agencies and the guys like Dulles was competing with the FBI guy, right? I think what's his name? Was it? Yeah, it was gone by then.
I always thought he was a stroker, man. Hey, yeah, thanks for telling us after you're in there for all the time.
Yeah, right. I know, exactly right. But the thing is that the person who really coined that term, and I was trying to remember, I had a brain lock here, was the guy with Dean, right? It was Dean, the guy in the Nixon White House who was a turncoat, basically, the lawyer guy, right? That's the guy who first really coined the term that we call the deep state really is. And it's guys like Kissinger and stuff. It's not the guys that it's not, what people Trump's people anyway are calling it. It's not what it is at all.
Well, I noticed, Epic, in reference to what you're saying, I noticed when it came onto the scene, because there was like words and terms that come onto the scene. Okay, and so here's some words and terms that have come onto the scene just since Trump's been in office. One of them, deep state. Okay, another one is fake news.
Which fake news was originally said by Hillary Clinton about Pizzagate. So it's, Trump capitalized on that.
That's right.
And I want to read one, because I found the Miami Herald article that Alex Jones shows. It literally says in the article, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, for example, helped to draw up a controversial plan, which is Rex 84, to suspend the Constitution in the event of national crisis, such as a nuclear war, violent and widespread internal dissent, or national opposition to the United States military invasion abroad. And it was from 1992 to 1984. North assisted Fema, the United States government chief crisis management unit, revising contingency plans for dealing with nuclear war, insurrection or massive military mobilization. So, I mean, he puts up that article, but yet this article says everything that we believe that Rex 84 was. So I don't know what Alex Jones is smoking.
Well, here's another one of these words, narrative. Another one now, social engineering. There's all these buzzwords that are out there that are just like put out there. They flop out there like somebody's unwanted piece of their junk hanging out of their pants or their bra unexpectedly. You know what I mean? These words, where do they come from? Deep state. Listen, the minute there was a deep state that everybody knows about, that should be the minute that the American people are going up there with pitchforks and hay bales and whatever, that there should not be some operating government operating within the government that we all know about, that we're okay with, that nobody voted for, that just run amok all over the place, right? I mean, so the narrative, okay, so now we're okay with there's something being called a narrative. So we're all aware of this something that's called a narrative. What's a narrative, man? It's some story somebody's fucking telling you. We're okay with the deep state. Okay, we're okay with the narrative. Somebody's reading us a story, nice bedtime story. Well, in a minute, it's going to be time to wake up, Sonny. Unfortunately, you got to go over there to fight them so they don't come over here. And meanwhile, we'll be fighting them over here because we didn't fight them over there.
That's true.
Listen, the Republican thing, the conservatives are sick and tired of it, and they well should be. Anybody who's a conservative should be admonished for the amount of patience and fortitude and internal control that everyone has exuded over these past really influential and insulting times that have gone on. It doesn't just hurt liberals when people's kids get shot up. It also hurts Republicans. It's an issue that there's no side. The side seems to be because one side wants somebody else's side's guns. I don't think your next door neighbor really wants your gun, but I think in a big hive mind group that's all frothing at the mouth about some kids that just got killed, who have the power as a minority to get the attention of the media, where the majority doesn't get any attention because all the attention has been given to the minority of whatever is going on.
Yep.
If it's, and I don't mean that in a racial way, I just mean that in a way that describes the demographic, because everything is marketing. And so when the marketing gets sour like it's getting now, people start asking questions. All of a sudden, things start to get out of control. How many bankruptcies has Donald Trump sat over? I mean, which guy would be the best guy to have? I mean, what is the stock market is at 25,000 now? Do you remember 20 years ago looking at the stock market in other countries at 25 and 30 and 40,000, and ours was at a couple thousand, thinking, man, look at all that inflation over there. Look at all, how could a stock market be that high?
It lost a bunch today, actually.
Right. 500 points to 25,000. So, but, do you think, let me ask you guys this question, because I know when Bush came in office, a lot of the liberal monies came out of the stock market to collapse it. And the stock market was really taking a beating when George Bush, the beginning of his term, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happened and everything turned around for that. But the point is that Trump's Achilles heel, and the thing that makes him feel so successful, is the fact that he's got something going with this so-called economy and the so-called stock market. Okay, everybody I know that's working doesn't have enough money to survive. So they could all have good jobs. If you're not making over $100,000 a year, you're hurting. Especially where I'm living. I mean, they figured it out. You got to make $60 an hour where I live to be able to just live. And most people are making like 20, 25. So
yeah, all the Silicon Valley people that work in those in that industry, they can't afford to live there. They can't. Even if they're making $90,000, that's not enough. They sleep in their cars.
So now
they sleep on the site. Yeah.
So now there's all these tariffs and all this stuff, man. There is so much going on. They're generating so much hate in the direction of Trump that he's about ready to burst. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he said, you know what, man? It's not worth it. But like you said, Epic, they seem to have him on some sort of other charges that they've found, but they can't go after him now because he's president. But the minute he's not president, he's in this zone where they can go after him for some of this other stuff, that these dirty deals that they've been finding out about.
Money laundering. Yeah, he's money laundering money for Russia. Absolutely, 100%. They knew that before he went into office. And there's a lot of other things too, but the only people, because and John, you know about this for sure, Donald J. Trump doesn't pay his bills. He doesn't pay the people who work for him. He doesn't pay his architects, doesn't pay his workers. He files bankruptcy instead, right? As soon as things start taking a tip down, the downturn, he immediately files bankruptcy. And I think he's up to 13. Don't quote me on that. We can look that up. But it's something like that. And it's depending what level of bankruptcy. So the only people who lend him money are offshore. And the vast, vast majority of those people are Russian oligarchs So that's what it is, right? And so Donald J. Trump is not afraid of being impeached. He's afraid of having to pay the debt to his Russian backers, who, might just give him a little sip of polonium tea one of these days, right? That's his fear, right? And I believe that. I'm sorry for people who supported him, and I know a lot of people did.
I voted for him.
Yeah, and I can see why too, because you don't want. I didn't want Hillary either. No freaking way. I voted for Jill Stein just because I was in California at the time, and I didn't want to be responsible for voting for either one of those people, because I knew they were both monsters.
I just didn't know the CMP existed. I'm never voting again at this point.
It's horrible, right? But I was looking at the whole deep state origins. Where that term came from. And as near as I can tell, I do remember seeing an interview on Dark Journalist with John Dean. It's John Dean from Watergate, the lawyer in Watergate. And I think he's the guy who coined the term. He took credit for it anyway, the actual term deep state.
Well, I know Peter Del Scott used to say the actual term deep state. He would talk about it a lot. And if I remember, actually, it was from the state originally came from Turkey.
I wouldn't be surprised it's offshore somewhere outside the United States. Yeah, I could see that. Mossad, right? Mossad, that's the deep state, right? Really, if you think about it.
Well, the thing is, what I'm saying is, we get these terms doled out to us. They're dished out.
They're buzzwords, yeah.
They're buzzed out. Yeah, exactly. They're buzzwords, but they're just the same as those memes that the European Union wants to ban so bad. Because those simple memes are super powerful. Just like these words becomes an everyday thing. Just like the more you hear about something, okay, the more normalized it becomes to you. You know, you start hearing about this, you start hearing about that. You're hearing about it over and over and over again. Pretty soon, the next thing you know, you're saying Trump's a racist, man. Before you know it, you're saying Trump's a racist. Because you've been watching this and listening to that, and, you know, before you know it, you're just like walking around saying it. And there isn't any evidence for that. I mean, he hates everybody without money equally. He doesn't care. I mean, there was a comic book or something that was written back in super early. I think it might even be in the 1800s about some guy who lived in New York and he built a wall around to keep all the poor people out. I swear to God, I'll find that. I might be wrong on the date. It might be in the early 1900s, but it was super early. So Trump's working in realms that we all taught. I mean, Trump is not the dude. You're not sitting next to Trump and having a beer. Okay, it's not like, I really thought I'd have a beer with George Bush. He seemed like the kind of guy I could have a beer with. Yeah, he ain't sitting down with you and having no beers, man. And neither is Trump. Trump sits on a gold-ass toilet, man. Look at this I mean, man, he starts to talk about Biden. Wait till they go after him about Ivanka and her deals with Jared Kushner over in China and how much money she's making over in China on the deals on her. She's making a lot of money, man. So, you know, believe me, he's not going to waltz in there, John, like you might think he is when he's going against Hillary, because Hillary's going to have a lot of ammo, and she's been doing nothing but rehearsing and you know, bouncing quarters off her new latex ass that she had installed. I don't know. She's got some plastic surgery going on. But now baby's got back now, and she's got a new face, and she's got a purple scarf on, and she is ready to rock and roll. She's ready to go up against the beast, the Antichrist, the Hitler, the fascist, the Trump.
Go ahead and play the rest of the clip, Jimmy. I agree with you. But go ahead and play the rest of the clip.
All right, hold on. I got to dig it out from this giant pile of crapola I got on my desktops. Hold on. I can't rattle the paper and go, I got the documents right here. Let me get a document cam on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, approaching Red Dawn and made that film with Reagan to counter the idea because they were so scared. We didn't know that 30 years later, they would reboot the same plan again and try it, but this time they believe they have the demographics to do it. And I'll leave it at that, but I've talked to folks involved in the production of Red Dawn.
I'll just leave it at that.
And the fact they were approached just to try to stop this. But they had no chance in 1984 to do this. They have no chance today, but they're crazy enough to do it. And so they have announced everywhere the plan to collapse the U.S. border. And then I wondered why it was on PBS, why it was on CNN, why I heard about FEMA camp plans. And, oh, my God, they were going to put people in camps, just like they say, oh, these kids are in camps now. Oh, these kids are getting raped. Oh, these kids are in cages. And then it's like homemade cage videos and fake videos of little kids that were with their parents and were never. That's the plan, was to bring down the U.S. with a Central and South American invasion after the globalists brought down Mexico, which Obama did, and then use that to cause a civil war in the U.S. and then cause a civil emergency, just like they've done with 10 million military-aged men in Europe who are Islamic. And Trump and patriots of our own government have seen this and have gotten ready. But yes, they are now implementing Rex 84, which if you read even the admissions of Reuters, it's like military bases for the 1,000% increase. It's 300 plus now. Collapsing Central and South America. Mexico in a deal.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to air that Red Dawn piece. Never heard. To flood us with 800 million people, potentially, And you totally see it. You're like, oh my God, the left reported on Reagan being told of this plan and Oliver North being told of this plan and all of this stuff going on. And then they just simply tried to create some plan to stop it. And now they're doing it again. So many promo pieces. Let's enter that promo piece we're just showing. And then I want to air Mike Adams laying
all right,
this.
Jimmy, that's enough of the clip. You can stop it.
And it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm cracking up already with that. Yeah, it's so bad, right? It's just so bad.
You covered the most important stuff. It's done.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I never really listened to Alex Jones back when he was doing his radio shows, his YouTube stuff. I mean, I saw like, like I said, the movies he did. The movies he did, like the big one with obviously the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, and
Road to Tyranny.
The big one. Yeah, but with the coffins and all that stuff. So I'm familiar with this stuff, of course, right? And I only started watching them like more recently, really, just like maybe a couple months prior to him going down the tubes here. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Blueprint for global enslavement.
Well, because he totally reversed himself. I mean, this is those couple months. I mean, from the time I actually started watching some of the stuff on YouTube to see what he was saying, right? Which is only, let's say, a year ago, really. Like I said, I watched some of the movies and stuff, right? But I didn't watch the show. And I only watched like snippets of the show if he had a guest on or something. But he totally reversed himself. He could watch the reversal happen last year, or maybe it was 2016, maybe it's longer than I think. But it was just, it was absurd. And now you listen to this now, it's completely absurd. I mean, does he think, he can't honestly believe this, that people didn't watch him back then, right? And know that he's totally lying now, that he's reversed his position? Because obviously he has.
Hey, people won't go Google anything somebody even says, let alone go back 20 years in his videos to try to figure out what he was saying back then. He's saying what he's saying today. That's why it doesn't matter when he's wrong about something. He just keeps going and never talks about it again because nobody cares and nobody cares about it. Because people only tune into this shit to get a jolt of whatever it is that they get, to get their chunk of whatever energy they get out of it, or give in whatever energy they're giving into it, to whatever he's putting out, whatever reality he's putting out. However many people buy into it and put their energy into it, man, it just makes it possible. Well, let's just put it this way. I could say without a shadow of a doubt the condition of the world that we live in has got inversely proportionally worse since Alex Jones got more popular. So for every listener that he gained another battery in the energy of negativity to bathe us all in this fucked up future that he says we're going to all waltz our ways into. But now we're not going to apparently waltz our ways into the FEMA camps, into the gas chambers and the railroad cars.
He's so out of touch. Yeah, he's so out of touch.
The blue and red dots on the mailboxes, the arrows on the street in front of your house, all the lists that everybody thinks they're on, all this, man. Listen, all I gotta do is tell you that's the way it is over and over again, and even if it isn't, you're still gonna self-censor and be scared that it's gonna happen.
That's what Trump does.
Nobody cares. Google doesn't care about you or your political interest or any of that. All they care about is how to sell you something. That's it. They care less. Period. The end. Google's listening. They sure are. And so is everybody else.
Yeah, it's not even what they want you to sell, right? The things they want to sell you. It's they want to know what you care about enough to buy. That's really the key. What do you care enough about to buy, right? Because that's how they can predict behavior.
Because on some level, we have been inundated by marketing and advertising to the point that people completely ignore it. Have you ever got on when you're driving down the road and you see a pickup truck that says Bob's House Painting, have you ever looked at his side of his truck and went, man, I got to get that number. For some reason, this white pickup truck with Bob's painting on it makes me want to dial the number.
No, but when that foxy girl comes on in the negligee, ooh, Bob's Bob's painting at 2:00 in the morning. That's some kind of image. Bob's
That's
painting.
right.
What does this sound familiar? Man, I'm really interested in Bob's painting all of a sudden. Yeah, Edward Bernays. Yeah, exactly. It's all mind control.
But even that part of it, it has to get more and more enticing for you to even be interested in it, because it becomes the noise floor becomes so loud with all these people screaming for your attention that everybody becomes deaf to it. So now really the only way to know how to sell and market to you and how to market to you now is to market to you between the two ears of your head. To market directly into your brain based on psychological profiling that's been going on. So it's not like they care about somebody's political interest more than they care about your psychological makeup and how to use it. It's like how to use your political interest for their motive, for their operandi. You know what I'm saying? Because look at how easily they get grassroots legwork done on the internet promoting some kind of an idea or some kind of a technology or whatever it is. How easy they can just throw out a big chunk of cheese out there and everybody comes and grabs a piece and pulls it on back to the nest and feeds it to everybody that they know. And then it exponentially goes out. They do the legwork. It seems grassroots, but really overall, and it was already programmed from the beginning to happen just like it was going to play out. Because they know exactly what's going to happen, what domino is going to fall in which direction. Everybody's got their price, man. I don't care what anyone says, man. I don't care what people say in public. Every man has his price, and every man has his breaking point. And I think Trump is going to achieve both of those, his price and his breaking point, because he looks very, very unstable to me.
Article 25, Amendment 25. Yeah, it might happen. Some people in the chat room, Razor Queen just asked, she goes, or I assume it's a girl, says, one blue dot was literally spray painted in front of my driveway the other day. What the hell does this mean, or that mean? And I can say that that's probably, just for people who might ask that same question, that probably means you have a freshwater cross connect in your yard or your property. And that's what they're doing there. It's for underground digging or identification. So the blue is usually water, red is electrical, right? It might be yellow. It's more often yellow, actually. But so some of these things have very innocent roots.
And the dots on the mailboxes used to be for your dates that you would get your paper.
Right.
So but back then, it was, that's so they know who they're going to round up and who they're not going to round up, folks.
So I was going to point out about that, this Rex 84 thing. See, I watched Endgame, right? Endgame is the movie I was thinking about with Alex Jones.
I watched Endgame was one of the first things I ever watched by Alex Jones.
Yeah, I was impressed with it. And he had the coffins. Endgame, yeah.
Endgame, blueprint for global enslavement, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, that's right after I got woke. Back in 2008.
The answer to 1776 is 1995, ladies and gentlemen. Just come on down and get your global enslavement right here at Alex Jones's Operation Infowars, right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Fun me to be able to eat a whole big plate of enchiladas, folks. I love those enchiladas.
So I'll tell you what, though.
On a pitch a tent down here in Austin with me.
Yeah, right. But isn't that the movie he first brought up the coffins and the FEMA camps, right? And brought up Rex 84. Was that? I think that was the movie he brought it up in. And so I did look a lot into that back then to see what it was all about, because okay, what's this? What is it about, right? The internet wasn't as complicated as it is today. I mean, as far as, and by that I mean you didn't have as much information. And people still think the internet's like this warehouse, this storage of knowledge, this global library, and it's not. The only things that are in there are what people put there. Right? So there's one picture of me on the internet, period. One. And I put it there, right? One picture in existence of me on the internet. Does that mean I don't exist? No, nobody just entered the pictures, right? So people need to get that through their heads, that the internet's not the be-all, end-all of everything, right? But the thing is that back then, that seemed like a pretty well-researched show. But when you look at it, yeah, those dots aren't freaking political. They're about what kind of utility pipe is in your yard, basically, is what it is. That's very simple, right? It's a simple explanation for it. Now, the Bohemian Grove thing, yeah, that's legit, man. I give him credit for that because nobody ever brought that up before publicly. But I have to also argue that he shouldn't have been in there and be able to film that publicly unless I let him do it. There's something to that to take into consideration, you know? And so I'm not saying he's one of them. I'm just saying that, you know, it's likely they put him into a place where he could do that because they wanted it to get out there. You know, sometimes it's better to let people know you have power over them or suspect that you have power over them and be fearful or, you know, hypnotized by the aspect of that, basically, like, ooh, you know, who are these people? Ooh, they must be really powerful. Well, maybe they're really not. Like we were talking about how Kerry, you know, went ahead and led Ohio, which he totally won, by the way. I mean, they showed the voting machines; those debold voting machines were totally corrupted. They were flipping 5% of the votes. The HBO did a special where they brought one of those machines into a district where, you know, after the vote was done, and it was flipping 5% of the votes. Just, you know, scientifically, they just did that, right? So he could have raised a ruckus, but you look at where they came from. We're talking about two Plymouth Rock families, right? You're talking about the Kerry family and it wasn't the Bush family, it would have been the Pierce family, I think, which is Barbara Bush's side of the family, actually. I think I got that right, but you guys can look that up. And so you're talking about this. It's going back to ancient, go back to Egypt, but going back to medieval Europe and who has the most royal blood in them. So it's still sustaining the monarchy. They're both skull and bones. They both have royal blood. They're both blue bloods, right? So who has the most by what percentage point? That's what percentage point they won, basically. It was already, we didn't have a choice. One of them was going to win anyway, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably rambling, going off topic, but.
No, I mean, 100% agree with you on that. And so yeah, it was Kenneth Blackwell who allegedly who had fixed it with the help of allegedly Michael Connell, who Michael Connell was later assassinated in a plane crash on December 19th, 2008.
Wait, a single-engine plane crash? Tell me, was it a single-engine plane crash?
Yes, it was a single-engine 1997 Piper Saratoga private plane. But yes, so he was part of the loss. He was as a witness for the lawsuit of the King Lincoln Bronzeville Neighborhood Association versus Kenneth Blackwell, and he was assassinated. And he also, there was a rumor going around that Michael Lewis Connell was hired by the Bush family to destroy majority of traces of the famous infamous picture of Ronald Wilson Reagan and one picture too of George H.W. Bush shaking the hands of one Lawrence E. King, who was part of the Franklin scandal. And that picture actually did once reside on the internet, but it was erased, and a lot of traces of Lawrence E. King to high-powered Republicans by Michael Connell, allegedly by Gordon Duff from Veterans Today. You can say what you want to say about Gordon Duff, about him being a disinfo agent. I would agree with you on that, but what he says about Michael Connell could definitely be plausible. So, all right, you guys got anything else to say? It's getting late. We need a vamoose, but definitely want to thank you guys both for being on the show. You're welcome as always. But is there anything else you guys want to close with?
Istvan 2020.
What about you, Jimmy?
Not right.
I just want to say martial law in America is not going to look what people think it's going to look like. And if something really happens, international troops will be in here. There'll be contractors in here like Blackwater. They're not going to have a problem shooting Americans. So, ladies and gentlemen, fight against it. That's all I can say. It's nothing good. It's going to come with it. And I don't know, man. Head to the hills.
Iron Maidens. Yeah, but I mean, I do agree with both of y'all, multiple sides, that this is sadly what may possibly happen, and that, you know, we're probably going to get Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump if Donald Trump survives, and that looks like that's what we're leading to. So Jimmy, tell where the fine folks out there can find both you and Epic.
Yeah, you guys can find us over at Revolution Radio on 11 o'clock p.m. Friday evening, and that's 2 a.m. Eastern. We're also over there on Mondays at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, for 2 hours. Pretty sure. I can't. It's too late and I'm too tired. But anyways, I do want to say, thanks for having us, Johnny.
Always, Jimmy.
Appreciate it, man. And hey, Boneless Rockers, good to see you in there. There's a bunch of people in the chat. Person 1 is in there.
Big D, Keith Sweet, Garland.
Yeah, they're all King Sweet's in there? Nah.
No, Keith Sweet, sorry.
Yeah, that's Keith Sweet. What's up, Keith?
Razor Queen, Pirouette.
Yeah, Razor Queen's got some good input too. Everybody in there does, and really appreciate you guys being here, man. It's not wasted effort. We appreciate it, and it sparks us up, sparks conversation.
Very much so.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll be peeping at you later. We'll come back next week, maybe. We got something coming up. But if you stop on by, my channel's it's not. There's one that's dead. That's Into the Microcosm. So it's Into the Microcosm with WITH, Jimmy Jean.
I already put a link in the chat for you.
Hey, sweet, bro. Appreciate that. Hey, Epic, thanks a million, bro. You know what I'm talking about, man. You helped me, man. Really helped me out. Thank you.
No problem. Aloha, everybody. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, Epic and Jimmy. You guys are true friends and brothers of the show and true seekers. Hope you all both have a good night.
Aye, man.
All right, everybody. That's it for this evening. I am beat. Hope you guys found some truth in the show. I might be streaming one more time tomorrow morning to finish up some CMP information. If not, I will talk to you next week. And as always,